Hi, I'm DJ Ware. On this episode of the Cyber Gizmo, I'm going to be looking at kind of the opposite of Debian, Debian 10 that is, Debian 10 being the stable, boring, working release, and then looking at the opposite of that, looking at a curated rolling release. This will be Solus 4.1 Fortitude, and I will be looking at the KDE Plasma edition of that right after this. So as always, and looking at something now, Solus has a number of options for installing, and we'll cover that today. But just a brief history, as always. Solus Linux was announced initially in September 2015, and the initial release was in December of the same year, 2015. So it's relatively new. The releases are named for rivers in Ireland, and was initially a derivative of Debian, but it included Psi and Evolve OS extensions. So it's kind of its own thing. It's not Debian, it's not Psi, it's not Evolve. Solus is its own Linux distribution, but it does have roots in those three. Initially, the display manager was based on GNOME. Budgie is the standard DM today, and initially Budgie was based on GDK3, but it has since been rewritten in Qt. I believe that is correct. I think all of that work is done. And Solus, as I said, is a curated rolling release. So what does that mean? Well, if you look at Arch, for example, Arch is a rolling release, but Arch is the very latest, the very newest packages that come out. So it's generally considered bleeding edge because, if you can get yourself into trouble with Arch because the packages are not tested quite as thoroughly. Curated means there's some testing that occurs, and then those packages that pass the test are selected for inclusion in their release cycle. And Solus is really designed for the home user, but as you'll see, there are other aspects to the release, so it's not just the home user. Branches of Solus in comparison to something like Debian or some of the more formal systems. Rolling releases do not have branches. They just they just roll forward based on a date. So updates to Solus at present, at the time of this video, are done every Friday. And currently there are 4 downloads. There's Solus Budgie, Solus GNOME, Solus Mate, and Solus Plasma are the 4 releases at present. And of course, those include the display manager. There is not, to my knowledge, a version of Solus for servers. It is free software, and free software being defined in the GNU definition of free software. And it is licensed under the GPL, which is the GNU General Public License. As the Solus website says, they cater to everyone, both home and office, and they provide the Libre Office Suite. Also, there are some personal information managers that are available as applications for you as well. For developers, it supports a wide range of languages and development tools, version control. It also supports Docker and Vagrant. The content creators, they have Synfig Studio for the music creators, which is a pretty good one. It's not bad. Graphic design with GIMP and Inkscape for vector drawings. Also, their video editing, they have Avid Mux and Kdenlive, and also Shotcut. As for gamers, it supports itch.io and Lutris, and of course Stream. So yeah, it does have kind of a wide range of uses, but so it's not just for home users. The Solus 4.1 Fortitude update what came based on Solus 4, which was, of course, released last March. It bumps the kernel to 5.4.12, which I haven't checked recently, but we'll do that when we go and look on their website. But Firefox is version 72. LibreOffice is 6.3.4.2 and Thunderbird 68.4.1. Those, as far as I know, are the latest releases as of this video. Budgie Gnome and Budgie Gnome and Mate editions ship with Rhythmbox for your audio playback. Now that would include MP3s and OGG and all the rest of those, or FFmpeg. Budgie and Gnome ship with MPV for video playback, and Mate ships with VLC. Plasma ships with Eliza for audio and SMP player for video playback. I'm not a real big fan of SM player. I've had issues with some of the codecs in there, so if we'll find out how well that works during the install today. Why would you want to use Solus? Well, I guess I'm going to skip down to the bottom. The biggest thing would be you just like the look and feel of it. It is gorgeous. It is beautiful, as you will see, or as you have seen in other videos and other YouTubers. But if you want support for Radeon RTX graphics cards like the 5600, 5700, 5700 XT, that support is baked into that kernel. AMD third generation Ryzen CPUs, the 3600 and 3900X. Intel Comet Lake and Ice Lake CPUs. I don't even want to venture into that territory. I mean, Intel has made that such a confusing mire and landmines. I don't know what to tell you there. As what specific things and specific CPUs in there are actually supported. I mean, Intel has mixed 14 nanometer and 10 nanometer all in a big bucket, and I don't know why they're doing that. But I'm sure they have their reasons. If you have one of the RTX NVIDIA cards like the 2080 Ti, if you're wealthy enough, maybe you have that one or some of the others. If you want a leading edge but not a bleeding edge OS, meaning that you want some stability but you're willing to sacrifice a little bit of rough bumps, and yeah, you will have them with Solus. I have definitely have had them in my experience with Solus. It does support eSync support, and that, of course, is for Lutris. If you want the latest Wi-Fi, and I'm saying security because WPA3 Personal is broken, so if you really want that, go right ahead. But just be aware that there are all kinds of exploits around that security. I don't know how quickly they will fix that, but some of the testing I have seen, that is pretty much of a disaster. If you want Flatpak or Snap support, that is in the latest releases of Solus. So I guess probably the first thing we should do is, always, let me go to full screen, and I'll go bring up boxes again. I have already installed this, but let me, before we do that, let me just take a step back here, just 1 second, and go out to their website to show you where the downloads are. So when you come to the home page, this is getsoul.us, and when you come to the home page, you'll find the downloads here. You'll notice that there's Solus Budgie, there's Gnome, or yeah, I'm not saying GNOME, sorry, it is Gnome. Solus Mate, and then also Plasma. So you can choose how far you want. It's a 1.8 gig download. I would suggest that you check your public keys. That has been a problem in Solus in the past. Where, yeah, so, and it wasn't their fault. It was a problem way back with Debian. So I'm not blaming Solus, but it's a good idea to always check that. So I'll go ahead, and I've already downloaded this. I've already checked the keys. But yeah, it doesn't take too long to come down. But, you know, that's dependent upon your network speed. So let me go back over to the full screen. And we'll come in here and do this. Now, I'll hit a plus key here and do a create virtual machine. it has spotted the Solus install. So I can just pick that up. I'm going to give it 4 gig. I always do that for any desktop. You can go higher if you want. If you go lower, you're probably going to run into a little bit of issue because if you total up the total amount of memory that's going to get included in your buffer count and your cache and all that, it's going to be about 2 gig. Now, of course, the running operating system and packages aren't going to be anywhere near that. But all right, so let's go ahead and create this, and it will attempt to boot it. I'm going to go ahead and start it versus wait for it. Such an impatient person. Okay, so this is the live version of the ISO, and already you can see that it's very nicely laid out. But we'll go into that in more detail. Let's get it installed onto the hard drive first. So the first thing it asks is, what's my base language? Yeah, go ahead and see if you can find me. Yep, and it did. Time zone, it asked me about the keyboard. Sorry about that, it zipped past it, but that's what it asked. And of course, I have a US keyboard. This is the install to the drive. Do I want to set up LVM, and then if I did that, I could set up encryption? No, not for this. We'll call it Solus 1. Give it a password. The first user automatically defaults to administrative, and we'll go ahead and add that unless there's some kind of problem. Oh, and there is. Okay. And it's confirming that this is what I want to do. It's also making sure that I know I'll have admin, which is sudo privileges. And then it basically does a recap of all the installation options, which is kind of nice because if there's something you want to change versus having to go all the way back, you can just, I think you can just click it. No, you can't. So never mind. I thought for a minute that would have been a really cool feature. So the Solus dev team, if you're listening, instead of having this page all the way back, why don't you make those hot so you can click on them if I want to go back and change something. Just a minor comment. And so I'll install it. This will take a few minutes. I'm going to pause this, and then I'll come back. It's 8:19 p.m. on the UTC scale, so I'll be right back. Okay, so it has finished. As you can see, I'm at 8:21 now, so about 3 minutes, maybe 2.5. I wasn't all the way at the start of the 8:18. So yeah, not bad, not too bad. Certainly faster than Debian to install. So it is done. I'm going to go ahead and click into it, and as you can see, it's actually a newer version. Yeah, it's 5.4.22-144. So it's had a few patches. And of course, this is DDM. To log in. And voila, there we are. So as you can see, the first thing it wants me to do is it's telling me there's some software updates. So let's go take care of that. This wasn't clear to me at first, because I was looking around. Okay, where's the next button? And it's right here, update selected. I'm not a Plasma user, so looks like it's going to do some ALSA updates, which I don't have audio turned on anyway, but that's all right. I'm just going to let this run through. This shouldn't take very long. And it didn't. So it's done. I can check for updates and make sure nothing there. So as far as what's installed, there's quite a few packages on here. I'll put I'll put NeoFetch out here, and then we'll get an exact count of how many packages are installed, and also what third-party applications are available. Be aware, though, that I believe is Snap. I think we can. Yeah, I don't think it's going to tell me, which is kind of bad. But so it is a Alt-Shift-4. Well, maybe it only works. Let's see. I guess that only works inside of the Dolphin. So we'll go the other way. I need a terminal window. I need to update it so you can see it. I suppose it'll be an appearance. Yep. Let's make it 15. And we'll apply it. And one of the things that console never does is it never, come on. I want an 80 column screen, please. And I'd like 24 rows. I don't know why it wasn't picking up the diagonal, but that should work. Okay, so so if you look in, oops, let's do it that way. So it's EO package and so I'll do a sudo EO package. I don't have to do that. I could just do EO package help. And that's the package manager for Solus, is EO package. If you have a number of things here, you can add a repo, you can build new EO packages. So it's quite extensive. Okay. And I believe it is an upgrade command. I just want to make sure that I'm up to date before I start installing something because, and I'd like to install NeoFetch, and I'll probably want HTOP, so I'll get them both. Oh, I forgot glances. I'm going to go back and get that one. Let's look at NeoFetch first. Now I just put some packages out here. So about 769 packages are installed, and including the 3 plus the dependencies that I just installed. Now, according to HTOP, it's 571 meg of memory, but you know. Yeah, let's go get a better view of it. So its actual user in the system and in total is 833 meg. So you have to be careful which ones you're using. I prefer to use glances because it's more accurate. And then, of course, as you remember from glances, if I hit a number, I can look at all the processors. If I hit 2, I can see not only the aggregate of the system, but what's running. I just really like glances, and so it's more accurate to use this than some of the other tools that are available to see how much memory the system is actually taking. And of course, we already know that it's a 5412 kernel. I wonder what they say for. Yeah, it's showing them as their own release, their own ID. So I don't believe I don't know how much code is left in the Debian derivative, but Obviously, they have changed it significantly enough to create their own. So let's take a look at a couple of other things. One of the things that I always have liked about let's see. Text editor, nah, we don't want that. Let's go look at computer. Let's look at my home directory. This should bring up Dolphin. And what I want to do here is I think it's an option on here. Yes, there we go. So I want to add a network folder. And one of the things I like about Dolphin is this, is that you'll notice that NFS is missing. Do you know? And the reason for that is Solus supports AppArmor. And neither AppArmor or SE Linux work over NFS. they just don't work. They won't provide any protection over NFS. And so you'll notice that that one is missing. I suppose if I installed NFS, it would show up in this list. But I have a propensity anymore not to use NFS quite as much. So I'm going to connect over to my ZFS server. Yeah, it is a Mac, in case you didn't know that. And I want it's about the only thing it does. Let's see. I want my data drive, and all that stuff should be fine. Yeah, should give me a prompt to put in my password, and if all goes well, oops. If all goes well, it should bring up my ZFS pool. So this is only one of them. What I wanted to go see here, yeah, let's look at this one. This is an EPUB book by Edward Carpenter about the First World War, and it brings up Ocular. So it actually copied it, which is nice. And so, yeah, not bad, not bad. So one of the, I think I have a couple of others. So if you want a quick way to do, you can set up a NAS if you want, but if you really want a quick way of setting up your own NAS with your own file systems, I mean, since Apple has elected to make a total mess out of their operating system, and I mean, I don't know what they're thinking, but they do not really support file sharing anymore. I mean, it is broken. It is broken to the point where it doesn't even work between Macs. So I'm using my ZFS pool, and I'm accessing it over SFTP because that still works. They haven't screwed that up yet. So it's amazing. But yeah, it'll put that out here. So, yeah. Yeah, I remember when Macs were actually BSD. I don't know what they are anymore. Broken. Broken is what they are. Let's see. I think I have some MP3s here somewhere. That's another EPUB. Been a while since I've been in here. Nope. Oops, went back too far. Well, that's okay. We can look at a number of things. But yeah, I think you get the idea there. So let's go play around with some of the other stuff that's in here. So yeah, you can put in a search. Oh, while I had that up, Control-Shift-4. That should do it, right? Shift-4 brings up a terminal window. So I don't know if that does it with this down or not. Let's see. Let me see if it does. Should. Nope. Well, of course, it focuses in there, so let's get rid of that. Nope. Only if Dolphin is up. We'll just confirm. .02. By the way, there's a new browser called ClickZ. If you're interested, that is designed based on Firefox, but it has some of the additional privacy rules that the GDPR is imposing built into it. So I might take a look at that in the future. I've been playing around with it, but not enough yet where I want to do a review of it. So let's see. Let's go look at some apps. We'll go look at some Office applications. Let's go to Impress, which is, of course, their version of PowerPoint. It should be 6342, just like they said. So I don't know if there's really anything else that I want to cover about that. I mean, it seems to work fine. I don't usually go into and review each component piece that's inside of an operating system, but what I'm more interested in is, are the packages that I want available? How much memory is it taking? How much disk? And disk I didn't show you, but it's about 53 gig, or no, excuse me, 5.3 gig. 53 gig, that would be a lot. 5.3 gig of disk is about what it takes for that install of KDE Plasma. So not bad, not too bad, not too bad. Not by today's standards anyway. So let me go back over to this. Well, it'll look a little better. So in the past, I have not had the greatest success with Solus. Now, I know there's a lot of people that use it, but the way I use operating systems, it breaks on me in the past. It has run for a while, and then it breaks. And generally, that's because of the types of applications that I am installing. So, yeah, I mean, an update will come along and just clobber it. Now, that's going to happen if you're in a rolling release. I mean, it doesn't matter what rolling release you're in. That happens with Manjaro, that happens with Arch, and it will happen with this. Although I think because it's curated, it's to a lesser degree. But the thing you have to understand is if they're releasing stuff every week, they cannot possibly be doing full up integration testing. So they're probably doing some cursory testing just to make sure that things work, and then they're putting it out. But they don't do any serious testing about what app. That would take a lot of time to see what the interactions are between packages to find out if you've really got trouble. So yeah, as far as the look and the feel of the desktop under Plasma, it's gorgeous, and Plasma has always been gorgeous. Budgie is beautiful as well, but I'm just not a big fan of Flatpaks or Snap. I'm just not. If you want to use that, great, knock yourself out. I guarantee you will have trouble. Solus 4.1 does support X.265, which is nice, but just realize that 265 puts a heavier load on your system than 264 does, because the way it does compression is by cells, and so yeah, it's gonna really put a load on. And I don't know if that version. I'll probably need to do some experimenting and find out. Maybe I should convert over one of my desktops over to Solus and really find out how well that compression works. Does it support it? Will it offload to the graphics card or not? I wanted to take a look at Plasma this week because this is my entry for BigDaddy's Linux challenge for this week, is to test Solus 4.1 Plasma. I obviously, you watched it. I installed it in front of your eyes. I installed this under QEMU KVM using boxes and no issues with it. But then if you go to put this on a real machine, that's probably where you're going to find issues. This Solus does require UEFI in order to load. And so if your machine doesn't have full support for UEFI, you'll probably have some trouble loading it. As far as device drivers are concerned, unless you have, I don't know, some strange combination of server-based systems, I don't suspect you'll have any issue installing this. At least I haven't. Now, the MSI laptop I have, it doesn't. I mean, Solus works; it'll install, but it does not like my Qualcomm Wi-Fi card, and that is so common. I don't know what it is about Qualcomm. They come up with a new device, and then they send off a new team to develop device drivers that have no compatibility whatsoever with anything that they've done previously. If you look in the Linux kernel, under Broadcom, it's just one long list of devices in order for those drivers to work. So it's pretty funny, actually. So I probably won't put this in my environment, although maybe I might in order to test the 265. I'm kind of interested in that, so I might do that. As far as the review, I don't. I like Solus. I think it's really nice. Whether or not I would use it personally, nah. I'm sorry. I'm done with rolling releases. But hey, if you like that sort of thing, and you have the latest and greatest hardware, great, knock yourself out. But I'm done with that. So, hope you enjoyed this video. That's just my personal thoughts. So. We all have different needs, and we all have different likes and dislikes, and mine is my favorite like is being able to turn my machine on and have it work, not turn my machine on and have to chase problems for 2 hours. So I hope you enjoyed this video today, and hope to see you again real soon. Please like and subscribe, and bye for now.